Good morning, PT on Ice Daily Show. Happy Thursday morning. Hope your Thursday's off to a good start. I'll be your host, Alan, currently serving as the COO of Ice, faculty member in our fitness athlete division here on Leadership Thursdays. Before we get started, I apologize in advance if my voice gets raspy. Everyone here at the gym and clinic is dealing with the flu or whatever's going around, so I've caught it as well, so not feeling too well. So I apologize if my voice gets harder and harder to hear as we get through today's episode. Don't forget that in addition to Leadership Thursday, today is Gut Check Thursday, 4 rounds for time of 15 hang squat cleans, and then 12 calories on the rower for guys, 9 calories on the rower for ladies. Should be a quick little burner, should be something you can easily rep out those squat cleans for 15. Would not recommend you do that if you're planning on doing 20.4 tonight or doing it before 20.4 tomorrow, but definitely something to hit later on this weekend or on Monday to get your heart rate up, or if you're not doing the open and you don't plan on doing 20.4. Don't forget about Hump Day Hustling, our free email newsletter. That went out yesterday morning at 8:30, as it always does on Wednesday mornings, sent out by Jeff, the top 5 articles and social media posts that we think as the faculty that are worth your time to view. And then don't forget about Virtual Ice, our online mentorship group, weekly meetings every Tuesday night, all sorts of content across a variety of physical therapy topics led by the ICE faculty. That's $29 a month. You get 24 CEUs if you do a whole year, and you can cancel any time. Running out of live courses as we get towards the end of the year. Next weekend we have Injured Runner with Jason down in Georgia at Peak Rehab. That same weekend, Jeff, Rachel, and I will be up in Milwaukee for our last cervical spine course of the year. That's going to be fun. We do that course every single year. A lot of you are joining us for that, so I'm excited to see all of you. That same weekend, Zach will be out in Los Angeles for Fitness Athlete Live. November 16th and 17th will be the last Fitness Athlete Live course of the year. Zach and I will be out in Victor, New York at Limitless Physical Therapy, so join us for that one. November 23rd to 24th, the last Total Spine Thrust course of the year with Justin will be out in Connecticut. And then our final live course of the year, December 7th and 8th, Lumbar Spine Management down in South Carolina. So a handful of chances to come catch us still on the road. All of our last online cohorts of the year have already started. Those will be running through Thanksgiving and finishing up before Christmas. And then we'll take a short break over the holidays to reset and then come back at you at the start of the new year. So what are we talking about today? A bird in hand is worth 2 in the bush. You may have heard that. Maybe you don't know what it means. Maybe it's something one of your grandparents said or one of your parents says, something your dad said. What does it mean? It means go with the sure thing and be content with the way things are and don't chase anything extra. Fundamentally, as a human being, I don't believe in that. But what that phrase is saying and how it relates to what we're talking about today, which is side hustles, is don't jump too soon, basically. That phrase is saying, keep working your primary clinical job and don't chase anything extra in the side hustle. Don't get too aggressive. Don't chase that too much. And I want to talk about when to know when the time is right to actually chase that, when to actually go for those 2 birds out in the bush. So a lot of you have the question of when should I switch? I'm working my primary clinical position. I'm working 9 to 5. I'm seeing maybe some extra patients in the evenings, on the weekends. Maybe I work 4 10s or something, and I have a whole day away from my primary position, and that's when I see people at my side hustle, whatever that may be. When to know that you can transition to that side hustle full time. When is that time? When is the best time to make that jump? The first thing cannot go without being said is when you're financially ready. When you have a cash buffer of about 6 months or more of being able to pay your bills. So don't get lured into going all in. Don't get frustrated with that primary clinical position and go all in just because you want to be your own boss and be a clinic owner, and be in a position where you're not financially ready. Putting all of your bills, both personal and business, on credit cards or taking out a huge business loan is not too wise. A lot of different programs out there will recommend that you just jump right away. If you think you want to be a clinic owner or run your own practice, to just transition immediately and that the patients will somehow appear. Certainly there's something to be said for going all in from the beginning, but only if you're financially ready. Make sure that you have that cash buffer available. Ideally, you're going to be generating maybe half of your desired income from your side hustle. That's a good benchmark. That's a good goal to have in the back of your mind to be able to make that jump. But definitely don't want to jump too soon and take off too slow to the point where you're starting to put expenses on credit cards and that sort of thing to pay your way as you are building up a patient base with your side hustle. So the main point is when you're financially ready. The next point is when you kind of start to feel that momentum is building and that this is a sustainable thing, that you're going to have the patients you need to see, the clients who want to see you, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be one-on-one patient care. Certainly, a lot of you are getting into the telehealth space. A lot of you are doing things like accessory programming and recovery visits for athletic folks. So it doesn't have to be strict patient care, but overall the volume of however you're seeing people, why you're seeing them, is starting to build, and you can actually see that if you crunch some numbers and go back on your calendar. How many visits did I have week to week, month to month? Is there a noticeable, observable growth over time? Yes, ups and downs will happen. Those are okay. Those happen in any clinic. Any clinic anywhere has ups and downs. We all know that. But overall, an observable increasing trend is what you're looking for. And have a goal here as well. Once I cross X number of visits per week, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, is when I'm going to start to transition, is a really good goal to have in your mind. So you can keep in the back of your mind, maybe it's 15 visits a week, maybe it's 20 visits a week, that when you get to that point for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, is when you are going to put in your notice at your primary position and make that jump to your side hustle. So have a cash buffer goal in mind, have a visits per week goal in mind as well before you decide to make that jump. The third point here is if you feel like you're starting to say no to business at your side hustle because you don't have time to be at your side hustle. So if you have people that want to see you for whatever reason, and they just can't get in to see you because you don't have the time because you're still working at your primary position, then maybe it's time to consider starting to transition and take that side hustle full time. If you have the feeling overall that you're limited in growth at the side hustle because of the time you're spending at your primary position, if you feel like you're starting to see people really late at night at the side hustle or on weekends or holidays or when you don't want to see them, and if you feel overall that you have this half-in sort of feeling instead of this all-in feeling and that it's causing some sort of stagnation or maybe even a decline, maybe you're noticing that because you can't fit people in at the times they want, you are just not seeing that increase in visits that you know you could if you were there full time. That's another good indicator that it's time to take that side hustle full time. And now when we transition full time, yes, there's going to be some gap time. It's not going to be an immediate perfect switchover where you are fully busy at your primary clinical position and now you are fully busy at the new side hustle that is now full-time as well. There's always going to be a little bit of a gap, but as long as you know how to utilize that gap time to get out and do a little bit of marketing, to do things like build out your clinic, then it's not really wasted time. And it's certainly going to feel a little bit easier, especially if you are already working 40 hours somewhere else and working 10 or 20 hours at your side hustle. That drop down to maybe 20 or 30 hours a week at the side hustle is going to feel a little bit like cheating, but that's okay. Know that now that you have the time, you can start to plug people into those gap times and start to build to a full-time schedule. My last point here is just be aware that if you are out on your own, one-on-one, doing all the logistics and administrative work yourself, then having a goal of building to 40 or more patient care hours a week is going to be lofty because of all the work on the back end that you're going to have to do on your own, that you'll notice quickly you kind of took for granted at your primary clinic position. If you are taking insurance, doing the billing yourself, scheduling your own visits, everything down to cleaning the bathroom and all that sort of stuff that goes into running a business, all that kind of stuff takes up time, and you'll notice that if your goal is 40 straight hours of patient care at the side hustle, then you will be spending a lot of extra time there doing all the back-end work, and may find yourself working more than you were at your primary clinical position, which is okay, but just recognize that full-time at the side hustle that's now full-time may be 30 or 35 patients a week max, so that you do have time throughout the week for all those administrative tasks. So maybe don't have it in your mind that you're going to switch from 40 hours of care directly to 40 hours of care. It may look more like 30 hours of care and some administrative time on the back end when you make that transition, and that's okay. A lot of folks that we talk to are tapping out at maybe 25 to 30 hours a week of patient care because they're generating about the same amount of revenue they were when they were working somewhere else, 40 plus hours, and then still having that time to do their billing, charting, and all that sort of thing in that extra time now that they're seeing everybody one-on-one, and now that they have to do all that stuff themselves as well. My last point here is I would argue go after the two in the bush, those two birds in the bush. Go after them before they get away and go somewhere else. So there's something to be said for taking the initiative and making the jump earlier than sooner before you get burned out from trying to work one full-time job and one part-time job for a long period of time. Make that jump sooner rather than later. We've known a lot of folks having success both with in-network clinics and out-of-network clinics that have taken the jump sooner and gone all in and been available to grow their business and have time to spend on growing their business sooner rather than later, rather than trying to maintain their primary 9-to-5 job as well as work every evening, work every weekend, and kind of really overdo it as far as a volume issue. So consider making that jump sooner rather than later. If you do have 10 folks, 15 folks that you're seeing every week at the side hustle, maybe it's time to consider making that jump. Maybe earlier. Most folks will report that they were prepared to transition sooner than they ever thought, that they got busier sooner than they thought and left their full-time position. So keep that in mind. But make sure you have that cash buffer ready. Make sure you are meeting that goal in your mind of how many visits you're going to see a week. Make sure you are noticing that upward trend and momentum and that you do feel like not being at your side hustle is limiting its growth, and that you could take it a lot further if you just had more time there. If all those pieces are in position, then it's probably time to make that jump. We have a whole bunch of resources at ICE and through the ICE community for you to reach out to if you have questions about this. We know a ton of folks who have done this even within the past 6 months to a year who've had great success. So I'm going to just name drop a whole bunch of folks for you to reach out to. First and foremost is our own ICE faculty member, Sarah Herron. She is doing very, very well out there in Seattle with Beth and Dan at Aero PT Seattle. In the clinic, she also offers consulting through her consulting group, Full Draw Consulting. So she helps folks start up out-of-network practices, and she also teaches our out-of-network step-by-step course for those looking to begin an out-of-network practice, start their side hustle up. Takes you through an 8-week course of how to start an out-of-network business from literally nothing, how to do all the paperwork, how to set up the infrastructure, that sort of stuff. That is your homework throughout that course that prepares you to be able to launch your business by the end of 8 weeks and formally start up your side hustle. So that's our main resource first and foremost, but I want to list some folks who are in network and out of network and doing practice in a wide variety of specialty areas. that would not mind you reaching out to them with questions, I don't think. So we have our own ICE faculty member, Kristen Carlin, who has Evoke Physio out in Pittsburgh. We have ICE faculty member Jessica Davis and her partner Carly, who have Perform Physio also in Pittsburgh. We have Guillermo, who runs Cross Physio out in Milwaukee. We have the wonderful ladies of Rally PT, Kate, Heather, and Kelly out in the Chicago area who are killing it out there. We have Avery down in Kentucky at Titan Physical Therapy. Melissa Reed up in Connecticut, Reed Fitness and Physical Therapy. Scott Carlin, Thrive Physio in Oklahoma. Sarah Sewall out in Wisconsin near Guillermo with Resilience RX. Martha out in Massachusetts with Q4 Physical Therapy. Will with the Movement Shop out in San Pedro, California. We have Lauren Ginsberg also in Massachusetts, I believe, with Sports Fit PT. And then we have Rachel Moore, who just this week made the jump from part-time side hustle to full-time side hustle with Disrupt Physiotherapy. I know there are a lot more of you out there. Certainly day by day we see more of you jump into your own practice, whether out of network, in network. If I forgot your name, it wasn't personal, but those are the names that came to the top of my head. So feel free to reach out to those folks, ask them questions. When did you know it was time to leave your current position? What sort of goals or benchmarks did you have in your mind to make that transition? Those are all wonderful resources, wonderful folks who are having great success that you can reach out to. That's all I've got. Don't forget to hit gut check. Don't hit gut check too close to 20.4. Those squat cleans might get you. It is 60 squat cleans. And then good luck tonight on 20.4. Thinking maybe muscle ups and snatches. We'll see here in about 12 hours what Dave Castro has for us. Other than that, that's all I've got. Have a great weekend. Hopefully I'm feeling better by the end of the weekend. I'll see you all next time.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.